what reader am I targeting? So every time I write a story now, I always try to visualize my audience. So for Black Market, when I created it, I actually have a mindset of who I think my stereotypical audience member looks like, what they eat, what they work as, what their family lifestyle is, what their house is, like where they live, how do they talk, right? And so on. And would they like the story, right? And if the answer is yes, you found your niche audience, right? And hopefully that niche audience is as big as the one on the Amazon market.
This is the CritRPG Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything lit RPG, progression fantasy, and Royal Road. Hi everyone, and welcome to the CritRPG Podcast, the only podcast that has been invited to the black market. With me today is MD Driver, who's the author of, I think it's actually called Black Market Lit RPG now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, and welcome. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Yes, of course.
Really excited. Yeah.
Like your book 2 is coming out soon. And I think without further ado, why don't you try to hook us on your book?
Yeah, sure. He's a crime lord, and he's been isekai to a Victorian style world where there's magic tech. Right? So the development of the world is actually very different, and the crime lord has no idea how he ended up there. But there's a catch. The crime lord is not from Earth. The crime lord is from the future. He's from 4000 AD, and he ran an interstellar crime organization. So he's been asking people where his exosuits are, where's the nearest hyperlane, or where's the nearest dark matter harvester, and nobody knows what he's talking about when he tells them to throw people into the nutri-paste recycler, right? So
yeah. Oh my god,
that's the premise of the book.
That's actually pretty funny. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I like isekais that aren't, like truck con hits you for 99 damage, you die, but it's a bit different. Yeah. You were saying that like this is like the villain of one of your previous works.
Yeah, so I actually started with another book called Series Chaos. It was about exosuit and just a guy making exosuits. Essentially, it was an exosuit progression lit RPG story, cool. And it flopped. Yeah, it was really bad. It was my very first attempt. I wrote it after reading the Mech Touch, and I said to myself when I first started writing it that I can write faster than the Mech Touch author. Right? That claim has been proven false many times over 3 years. So I actually started writing the Series Chaos during a military reservist period. Right? I do military reservist here. 2 weeks of no phone, no nothing, no communication, you get really bored. So you come up with stories, right? On my next military reservist training session, I realized, oh wow, Series Chaos isn't doing that good, A lot of people are flaming me, like at 3 stars, 1 star, right? And I'm thinking like, hey, I've seen the market, I've seen like how other RPG books do it, why can't I do it myself? So I come up with a bad guy isekai into a better world, kind of like easy to go along with, right? And I really try to nail the hook, right? This time I start without world building, without info dumping, start with action, and it kind of worked out, right? I'll say I actually made enough money from it to go full time.
Nice.
But I still don't because I still really like my day job, even though it's like a 996 job. So
it's hard, isn't it? I mean, between the podcast, the author stuff, and I have like 2 other things going on that I'm doing on the side, and then also my main job, I don't have that much time for shit anymore, and I am slowly but surely burning a little bit out here. So I gotta really look at it. So how do you balance that for yourself? Like, you said you are earning enough money to go full time, but you still love your main job. Is it fine for you? Does it work out, or is there any secret to it?
Yeah, it is pretty hard. I have a lot of times where I went on a hiatus. I told my readers that I wasn't writing any more public chapters, but actually, every day I'm actually writing a new chapter. The problem is I rewrite the chapters a lot, right? I look at this chapter and say, oh, this is shit. You know, then I'm the next day I'm just gonna rewrite it from scratch and stuff. So I do it almost like every day, like 7 days a week. I'm writing at least like one chapter. I do basically the old folks, Sean Wilson method.
Yeah, the
right?
Sean Wilson method. Yeah.
Yeah,
You dream your plot, and then you like wake up in the middle of the night and like type with one hand, while with the other hand you eat like a bag of chips.
Yeah. Actually, sleeping really helps me. I know Wolfshine has talked about it before. And he said that like, oh, if you know you're stuck on the story, just go to sleep. Your subconscious will fix it, and it actually kind of works for me.
Totally.
Sometimes I sleep. Yeah. Sometimes I sleep for like too long, right? And then I miss my job or something.
I wake up very early. The first time I overslept was like 2 days ago. I was like, not good. But yeah, okay.
Ooh.
So sleeping helps. Okay.
Yeah, and I do like a bi-phasing kind of sleep schedule, right? Because I have a 996 job, so this 12 hours of work. I come back and I actually write a bit first. I try to write for like an hour and a half, and then I'll fall asleep at the computer, right? I'll fall asleep while typing. Right? And I'll go to sleep. I'll sleep for like 3 hours, and I'll wake up for another 3 hours, and then I'll write in that 3 hours. Then I'll sleep for 3 hours, and then go to work again, right? And the cycle just repeats.
It's actually pretty fucking smart, because like the one thing I've noticed that I've been tracking my sleep and like kind of seeing how long I sleep and so on and so forth. Like the most restorative parts of my sleep are definitely the first 3 or 4. Right?
It's the REM cycles
REM
or something.
Sleep,
yeah.
So I just wish they wouldn't. Yeah. I just wish they wouldn't sing so loud. Sorry. I was this close to losing my religion there. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Bring me up, right? Okay.
Before you go as a different band.
Yeah. So
or inside.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things like what I could be waking you up, but I can't wake you up. Anyway, god damn, that's a segue. You were saying biphasic sleep schedule. Going.
So the I did the same as you, right? Track the sleep schedule. I had this pair of earbuds that help to track your sleep activity and how many times you turn about, you toss about, and stuff. First 3 hours really work. Anything longer than that, I actually feel more tired than the next day. Even if both days have no work going on, right? Like I'm on leave or and stuff like that. Yeah. So I really try to do like the 3 hour like cycles. It's not really easy to do, because like everyone around you is like telling you like, hey, you gotta sleep for 7 hours straight. You gotta sleep for 8 hours straight, you know, right? But
my body.
Some people are just different. Yeah. Some people are just different, you know? Yeah. If you can acclimatize it, it works. Yeah.
To be honest, like if I go to sleep every night at like 8 o'clock, or like at the same sorry, not 8 o'clock, but like I think it was like 10, and then wake up every morning at 6, I'm perfectly fine. To be honest, I don't sleep as well if I don't take Adderall.
Oh, okay. Adderall is banned in my country, so
I know some people who like also live like in that area, and they also like don't get like Adderall and stuff like that. It's a shame, because like it works super well for me as a medicine. I take like the lowest dose, and it works super well for me. And to be honest, like I wouldn't be who I am without it. I've skipped it for like a weekend, the other weekend, and the amount of anxiety alone was insane. It was like, why am I thinking these things? That makes no sense. Like, what's happening?
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's. I mean, I would got way better at like recognizing my own emotions and my own feelings. That was like that already helps. But I spent so much energy just like shoving away intrusive thoughts. It was obnoxious. I know why I never really did anything, before I started taking meds, because like I was so exhausted the entire time. I'm like, no, not thinking about this. No, I'm thinking about that. So
yeah. I feel like there's a reason why Adderall is banned in like East Asia, like this part of the world.
Because
the fact is
productive.
Well, mostly it's because of the students, right? When I was in the UK, I actually took it for like one of my exams coming up, and it was like super effective. I'm sure if every Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Taiwanese, Southeast Asian student got their hands on Adderall, it'll be like an epidemic, I think. Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally. Like, it's. That being said, doesn't make you smarter, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. But the way Asian exams are structured is like different. It's all about cramming, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
really
yeah.
just cram it.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
that will help. Like we were talking earlier in the pre-podcast episode,
Yeah,
we were talking about like differences in Asian culture and like Western culture, and like you're mentioning something that like holds Asia back, and I think there's also something that holds like the Western world back. To be honest, like I mentioned before, but I think like one of the things that is really holding you guys back is like your education system, because it does, like
it is.
ours is getting bad, but yours is kind of
It's still better
worse.
than ours.
Yeah, because like it's all structured around like everyone's the same, and you just need to like cram and like learn shit, and it's like all frontal direct teaching. So like you get up, you like decline your nouns and then like your adverbs, and then you sit down back down again. That doesn't really work. That's not how the human mind learns. You know information, but you can't use it. And also, I mean, before he mysteriously vanished and then really got into like caring for the sick and elderly, Jackie Ma had like a really big project going on about like education in China, where he says like, hey, like we need more education in dance and like music and the arts, because he needs we in general, the world population, need people who are creative to solve problems. There are solutions to problems. If you just like learn things by heart, you can't solve issues that are new.
Yes, absolutely agree. The problem is that probably most of the East Asian governments don't believe in that. They believe in a problem called elite overpopulation. Okay. Right. So if you give everybody education, nobody's gonna do the lower jobs, right? And nobody's gonna do the lower jobs. You gotta import the lower jobs.
You can just get those people from East Asia. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
So
that's actually kind of sad if you think about it.
It is. Like I do have like quite a few like relatives in like still in China, and I know I have cousins, younger cousins that did this high school examination. It's called the like the national high school examination. This is where you're ranked, in like on a national scale, 1.3 billion people, right? Every year, like 15 million people graduate from high school, right? That's like twice my country's population, right? So they just decided to, how to say, skew or like manipulate the bell curve such that 50% of them failed this high school examination, even though they would have passed, right? And the reason is because they don't have enough factory workers. Right?
Oh.
Like, nobody wants to do the low jobs, right?
Okay.
So,
yeah. Am I gonna comment on this? I think I'm allowed one comment. Like,
yeah, sure.
If you think that like authoritarianism is a great thing and that will get us like bring us forward, dear listener, listen to that and imagine that if your kid or you yourself would get fucked out of like their dream job because the government doesn't like it. So pardon my French.
That's absolutely correct. Like I live in a single party state. We've been under authoritarian for like pretty long. I've gone through the whole education system, and I can say like, well, I got lucky, right? I came out on top, right? But I know a lot of my cousins, they fell to the wayside. I had people that's maybe scored maybe like 10% lower than me. They're working as a hair cutter now, right? Like they can't do their dream job of becoming a chemical engineer because the Shell, BP, Exxon, all of that, they only hire like the smartest of the smartest, right? It's really a dog eat dog world, like.
And maybe they're not even the smartest. They're just the best at learning things by heart.
Yeah, they're just best at cramming, right? You could talk to them and ask them like, hey, what do you think about Germany, firing their finance minister? They would be like, huh? Germany has a finance minister? Like, they don't even know, like, this kind of things. Like, it's like they have no interest in the world around them. They just cram like stuff into, I'm going on a rant here.
No, I mean, like, it's about as political as we get on this podcast. But education really matters to me because I used to be a teacher. And one of the reasons why I didn't continue being a teacher was because we still treat our children as though they're factory items, because the entire education system, like what was started, at least in the Western world, around the Industrial Revolution. So this is why we have we slot kids by batches, and as if though their age is the most important thing about them. And then we have like bells that signal shift changes. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, it is literally like a machine that produces education. It doesn't work. I mean, it worked for a while. It worked pretty well for a while until the digital age arrived. Which we are now a part of, and also great beneficiaries. I mean, that is you and I, because we can write stuff and be free and do cool shit. So
I got an interesting story from my teacher friend as well. She was recently forced to resign from one of the schools here because she asked a student to do their homework. So we have this we have quite a bit of I don't know how to put it, shaming culture here. Like, if you do something bad to the kids, like you're the adult, they're the kid, right? It's considered bad, right? So what my teacher friend did was what the teachers used to do in the past, right? If you don't do your homework, you stand outside class and listen into the class from outside the window, right? Just standing, right? There's not really punishment. Nobody's like beating you or anything.
Well, right? It's emotional damage.
It is emotional damage, right? So that's what our teacher did. That's what my teacher friend did. She basically walked up to the student and asked her, "You haven't handed in your history essay for 2 weeks, right? When are you going to hand it in?" Right? The student cried. The next day, the parents came down to the vice principal office and explained and say the student's really badly hurt, emotional damage, all that kind of stuff. And then the vice principal said, okay, we'll fix this, right? So the teacher had to do a public apology during assembly. We have assembly where, the whole school gathers in the hall and they make an announcement. So the teacher publicly bowed and apologized. And then she resigned. It's quite crazy in some Asian cities because when you are working 996 jobs, you really don't have any time to take care of your kids. So you expect your teacher to do everything. My parents were teachers, and they'll get messages from other parents on maybe Sunday night, right? And they'll be asking them can you give me the answer to the homework so my son doesn't have to do it and hand it in on Monday? It's just it really did I'll just say disgusting behavior, right?
I mean, it says one thing here. It says that the parents don't know themselves or don't have time to learn themselves. Holy shit! It's not like it's different in Western countries either, right? But
is it?
No, it's not.
I thought you guys treat the students more harshly or something. Or
no. Oh no. we just don't have people publicly apologize for it. But it's parents don't have time to educate their kids anymore, and they think it's the teacher's job, but the teacher doesn't have time for it either. Teacher has 30 kids in their school in their class. How the frick are you supposed to teach 30 kids? And so the kids are complete little tyrants, and they do whatever the fridge they want, and just scream and yell and behave like complete psychopaths. And the teacher's supposed to fix it somehow and teach them a pre-designed curriculum. And I know at least in the US, they're also massively underpaid, massively underpaid. I think the teacher, you gotta have a master's degree, and their pay is $50,000 per year or $58,000 or something like that. Completely ridiculous. If you compare that to the cost of living, for $58,000, you can't even pay rent in San Francisco, right? So and then there's all the Karens coming in and going well, you hurt the emotions of my kid, and why didn't you let him wear his uranium hat that's good against this the Wi-Fi signal or whatever, and you're well, that's radioactive, and A, it's melting the brain of your kid, and B, it's irradiating everyone else in the school. And they're oh, that's fake news. So and then the teacher gets fired because because they weren't like political, like they weren't like diplomatic enough or something, or because the Karen knows the mayor. Like it's still the same. It's still the same. Yeah. And I've had like classes with people that really should not have passed that class while it was in the US. Oh. And I was like, yeah, well, we got to let him pass because his parents just bought us a new tennis court.
Oh man!
Wow. Didn't speak a lick of German, like German 201. Didn't speak a lick of German. Like couldn't do the easiest homework. Couldn't even tell me
and
hello.
He still passed.
He's a pass, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's like one of the moments where I decided, like, I'm not made for this. I will go somewhere else.
I always thought it was like the work hours here in Asia that are the reason why the parents are so confrontational about their children. But now that I hear your examples, I feel like maybe it's not a work hour thing. It's like it sounds like the US is like the Karens have more free time. That's why they're doing all of this.
I mean, like, yes, that, and also like in general, like the world climate, people are very scared, and people are looking towards the children, and people are like forgetting how resilient children are made to be. Children need to be resilient, right? I'm not telling you to like harm your kid, absolutely not. But there's a certain tragedy when we don't allow our kids to get exposed to bad things, because at some time in the world, they are going to get exposed to bad things, and it's like keeping a kid inside the entire time, and then the first time they go out, they catch a flu and they die, right? Because like they've never had the flu, and life is a series of small disappointments and great triumphs. Yeah. So you have to be ready for it. And I mean, I certainly didn't. My parents were never really coddled me. I just like never went outside. I was like way too sheltered. Like I sheltered myself basically. And I wish I hadn't. I wish I had made more mistakes when I was a kid. I wish I had gotten my heart broken when I was 14, right? And not like when I was like 25. So yeah. But yeah, that's a long talk. Let's switch to another topic. It's about writing.
Okay.
What's the best advice you've ever gotten as a writer?
Best advice I ever gotten as a writer. Just write, I guess. This would be the best advice. Oh my
God, it's like the most given answer to this question on the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Let me take up like a legit one. Probably the best advice actually came from Lemon, I think.
Oh, nice. Wizard.
Yeah, Wizard. Yeah, I'm really close to him. He came to my house like 3 times.
Oh, nice.
Actually, he doesn't.
Did you invite him, or did you just come to your house?
We watched LCK, like League of Legends.
Okay. You made it sound like he just came to my house, and I don't know who he was.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I met him in person, and while he was still studying in Singapore. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He basically told me that like you really need like. At the time when I was still writing a lot about, wars come first, because I came from like an Eastern mindset. And the best advice Lemon gave me was that like the emotions are king, right? Like if you can't make your reader feel an emotion, right? You basically fail at writing, right? Yeah. Because the objective of fiction is actually to really like draw your reader into the emotions of the scene. And if you write an emotional scene and the reader is just like, oh yeah, that was fun. And they feel that. Yeah, you didn't really do your job, and that really got me to think more about what reader am I targeting? So every time I write a story now, I always try to visualize my audience, right? So for Black Market, when I created it, I actually have the mindset of who I think my stereotypical audience member looks like, what they eat, what they work as, what their family lifestyle is, what their house is, like where they live, how do they talk, right, and so on, and would they like the story? Right? And if the answer is yes, you found your niche audience, right? And hopefully the niche audience is as big as the one on the Amazon market, right?
Yeah. Oh, hopefully, yeah. Like for me, I think it's kind of like I don't quite know how to say that the finding this emotional core of the story, I think, is very important, and I think I'm doing it by short catchphrases. And if it doesn't fit into the short catchphrase, it's a bit of a problem. So for Torchbearer, for example, I don't have a short catchphrase because it's too complex of a story. And I think, if anything, the first book should be about overcoming grief and like grief related rage. That should be the first book, right? Whereas the second book is going to be beep because it's long going. But for band, the short catchphrase is sometimes things are bad, but everything gets better with music and friends. Like that's the entire thing, right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, there you go. Like because this is literally every single arc is that. And if you're looking at One Piece, for example, every single arc is every single arc is Luffy goes somewhere.
Yeah.
Some people are being oppressed and or exploited. Luffy does not like bullies and does not like people being controlled, and so he fights for freedom because he's a freedom fighter. He's a pirate, right? He's free.
Yep.
Yarhardididi. And like the my question is like, how would you sum up Black Market RPG like that if you could?
I guess the catchphrase is sometimes crime pays.
Your catchphrase is like sometimes times are tough, but guns solve problems.
Probably only my readers would know this. Anybody looking at the story from the outside would just think like, oh yeah, he's a crime lord. He's this evil warlord, crime lord that's going to go around and kill a lot of people. I can tell you first that in 2 books, he has only killed 3 people. Right.
What a failure.
What a failure of a murder hobo, right? Despite having a system that gives him EXP, he doesn't kill people, right? And the way I wanted to write it is because in basing off the Italian mafia in New York and stuff, they don't actually kill people very often, right? And in fact, the people they kill are usually their own people, right? They kill them to silence them, or they kill people to like shut them up,
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
You know why men like there's a difference between why men and women kill. A fundamental difference. Yes. Like in 80% of all cases for each gender. Men kill because they don't want to let something go. Women kill because they want to get away from something.
Oh.
It is super interesting because like that's like there's a lot of women who kill their kids. And like there's a significant dark number here. There's also like because like they are supposed to care for the children, and then things just happen, and like no one can ever prove that like the kid didn't like eat that Tide Pod by chance, right? Like no, like I'm only half joking. Like I got a very close friend who researches like psychopathy, and especially like female psychopathy, because like a very underdeveloped field. And I'm not saying that it happens every day and that every time a child dies, like someone murdered the kid. But like men, like women murder men because men like get too clingy and too controlling, and it's the only way for them to get out, right? That's why they like choose poison and like like that sort of stuff, or like the good old toaster bath. But men on the other side, like just like the mafia, like if someone threatens to betray them and or leave them and or no longer be in their control, they would much rather murder that person rather than them being like going out and like potentially doing harm to the clan. And I mean this like in the primal sense.
I completely agree with that. Wow, that's actually an interesting fact. Didn't know about that at all. Yeah, now that you put it this way,
it's an interesting fact. Yeah. Like it's there's way more. Like she's written many books. They're all in German, unfortunately. But I can put them in the links if people want to read them in German.
That'll be interesting. I actually read a lot of nonfiction books. To be honest, I have not read like most of the big lit RPG books. So I've not read DCC. I've not read Primal Hunter. I've not read Defiance After the Fall. I've not read Beware of Chicken. I've not read Heretical Fishing. I guess maybe the only one I read was Ultimate Level 1, I guess.
Oh yeah, Sean's book.
Yeah, Sean's book. And Battle Through the Ages as well. Their Viking book. Yeah, I read it.
Battle Through 99 Realms, right? That's
Battle Through the 9 Realms. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and I can like if you want to like kind of like look into these, because I don't have time to read much myself anymore. Right now, I'm just finishing up Stargazer's War 2, which is really excellent. And next one I'm going to go for is Half-Life Empire, which is like a very small book by Shemi Stovall that people rave about, and I think I would like. It's basically Fallout, but in reverse. So post-apocalyptic world, and young woman finds underground bunker with like basically seeding technology.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Half of Empire by Shemi Stovall is supposed to be really freaking good. She's supposed to have like written like some sci-fi books, and those are her best. But like people don't read sci-fi all that much.
I love sci-fi, dude.
Yeah. Oh man, Shemi Stovall is like right up your alley. Then her husband, her husband John wrote Demon Card Enforcer, whose cover looks like a lot like yours, by the way.
Wait, they're married?
Yeah, John Stovall and Shemi Stovall are married. Yeah.
Oh right, okay. I thought they were like family or something. Yeah, sorry.
No. They married. You can listen to it on the podcast. Like they both have their own episode. I think like 3 weeks ago.
I only saw Jomi Stovall's one. I didn't see Shami's one yet. Yeah.
Yeah, Shami's great.
Awesome.
And sorry, we were completely going off track there again. But I think it's fine. We can handle it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've cut across this topic a little bit before, but in your writing journey, wait, actually, I'm going to finish my thought first. I would really advise you to try some of the big names, right? So, like DCC for sure.
Yeah.
Also, He Who Fights with Monsters. Primal Hunter is also great. Azarinth Healer, like. Yeah. I think you might actually like Maxime Durand's books, like The Perfect Run, Journey of Black and Red.
Oh,
and there's some that are still like hidden, but the list never grows any smaller. But there's definitely some that I think have like a really good foundation. Like you have a really good foundation in what the Western market likes, and Dungeon Crawler Carl for sure. He Fights with Monsters also to some extent, especially the first 3 books, even though I love the entire series. And then Beware of Chicken and Heretical Fishing, because they're both very similar, and they almost taste the same, but they're both very distinct. Even so, but yeah.
Can a team of has-been teen idols save the world? Find out in the new series Boy Bands and Dragons. When Neverboyland is sucked into a magical world, their reunion takes a back seat to staying alive. But if they can get over the past drama that drove them apart, they may find that even pop stars can be heroes. Come and discover your new favorite read. Our comeback tour is Slaying Monsters, the first in the Boy Bands and Dragons series by Kim Smuga Otto, dropping on Kindle Unlimited, October 25th.
Next question. As you've written, as you've grown as a writer, what is one thing that you would do differently now in the next story, or that you are now, that you would want to change if you could?
I would never rewrite a story again. If a story fails, like that's the end of it. I will not rewrite it. So I actually rewrote Black Market, book 2. So I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 viewers might remember reading book 2, and it was objectively bad, right? I guess this is like a segue as well, but I actually listened to one of my patrons on what to do next for the story instead of listening to my own outline, and it completely brought the story on a completely different tangent. So that was the start of the downfall, I guess. And to that end, I actually wrote like 1 million words of the old version, and I trashed all of it. So I wrote another 1 billion, and that's the new book 2 that's coming up. So yeah, the lesson is do not rewrite.
Wait,
you have,
do you say million?
Yep.
Jesus Christ! Holy shit!
In total, since I started, it's been 2 years. I wrote 3 million words. On average, I write 10K words a day, roughly. On bad days, if I'm overseas, like in a China trade fair or like Taiwan kind of stuff, I only write like maybe like 1K, 2K. It's quite hard to get things done when you're in really bad how terrible.
Yeah.
it is.
Sometimes I got like done like 4K a week. So shut up.
Yeah. But interestingly enough, like the more I write, the harder it is to write. Because you get so aware of the pitfalls.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's the problem. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead first.
Yeah, so I've been recently made aware that my writing is too Eastern, like it's too Asian. There's a specific thinking style that doesn't match the American market, and I'm very aware of it. It's the sentence structure, the way things are put first, right? I always put the environment first before the character. You'll almost never see a sentence where I start with the character, right? So it wouldn't be like oh, Carl did this, right? You'll be like the pipe was swung by Carl. It's a very
okay, yeah, that's actually that's passive voice.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's very popular in Chinese novels, Korean novels, and Japanese novels, right? And it's accepted right there. And also another thing of exclamation marks. I used to have an exclamation mark every other sentence. So in a single chapter, I could have 153 exclamation marks.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, but if anyone of you actually read an original like Taiwanese light novel before, there's exclamation marks everywhere.
Oh yeah, the whole like people have like read the machine translated genre is a trip.
It's a trip
because like the sentence structure makes absolutely no sense in Western stuff.
And
but if there's any genre where you can do that, it's this one. So congratulations.
Yeah. I used to read machine translated, but then I went to the original because I thought that the machine translated English was screwing up the story or like not translating it properly. I'll be honest, right? For any viewer out here who wonders whether the original Chinese novels are better, they are not. They are not better.
This is an Instagram clippable moment right there.
Yeah, I'm acting Chinese. I read Chinese. I speak Chinese. I can read traditional Chinese and simplified Chinese. The books are not better. For every Lord of the Mystery you see, there's a million other like harem. Like the usual like let's get really powerful, like really fast, and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, that's just human. That's just human in general. Because like for every dungeon crawler Carl, there's like 50 Torchbearers. Oh, he didn't. Yes,
no. I didn't say that. I didn't.
No. I did. I did that.
Yeah.
Like I like lowering people's expectations of my own stuff, which is a terrible marketing strategy. It's a good book, everyone. It really is. I just need to fix it up a little bit more. But like so. There was one thing earlier you said about the writing speed. So I don't mean this in a negative sense, but like there's a reason why people like Neil Gaiman or Patrick Rothfuss or Novik or Scalzi don't write 10,000 words a day, even though they write every day. That's because they pick their words very carefully, and that means they only have to rewrite it once, and I don't have to like toss out tens of thousands of words. Now, here's the caveat. In web fiction, it's fine. People like it. People like to have a lot to read. Also, a lot of people skim.
Yes.
Skim a lot. And I found out one thing, and I don't mean this as like a weird side thing or like a humble brag or whatever, but people who skim don't like Torchbearer. People who don't skim, who like read in detail, like it. Right?
Yeah.
That's like one thing I've learned. Like, so all the like lawyers and doctors like read shit very, very quickly, like, and they can't do it any other way. Like, they're like, what's happening? I have no idea what the fuck is going on. The story sucks.
But I'll be honest. I actually skimmed Torchbearer because my reading method is skimming, and I think it was fine.
Okay, cool. Well, that disproves my theory. Thank you so much for coming to our podcast. Now, like the point I was trying to make, like, basically is writing is the same. So you can push out a lot of volume, but then in traditional publication, you're expected to cut it back down. Right? In web novels, that's fine. You can just write how much ever you want, as long as people like it. People like it, fine, right?
Yeah.
But it's just not the story that I want to write. So I write very slowly because I kind of like fret over each and every single like phrasing, and I'm very careful how to like choose my words. I don't find with people skimming it because I know that if every person skimming it, there's one person who like really goes like, oh yeah, that's a good line, and that I like, that I really like. So for you, I think though there's like one problem. If you're writing to improve, there's only so far you can get with like the plot, and like once the plot is really good, it is really good, and then only when the plot is really good and the general structure of the chapters is well done, then is when the subtle characterization stuff, the how do you explain, how do you write this? Can I make this more succinct? Can I make this shorter? Can I not repeat myself? That's when that comes in, and that's when it gets really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see that as a problem now. Like that's what I was saying, that like the more I write, the harder it is to write.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like you say, I know the writing speed is actually a detriment. I'm not spending enough time like looking at like which words I'm writing, and I have to rewrite chapters like multiple times. Like you said, like I should only need to, edit once.
Do you know why Dungeon Crawler Carl so famous, so good? Because Matt Dinneman writes each chapter at least 20 times, and he picks the best one.
Oh,
right. There are chapters in which like one of the characters actually died, and he said that on in a con panel, and people were like, but yeah, like yes, Matt Dinneman killed Donut at least twice. Yeah.
What?
So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, like the chapter didn't make it in, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, no, doesn't work. Like Matt Dinneman is still pantsing, but he's this every single thing that humans do, everything is based around the idea of getting your ideas out there and then refining them. Like my favorite example is pottery, because it's one of the like oldest things that humans ever did, right? And I think maybe it also like shaped our culture a little bit. But you throw the clay onto the thing, you shape it, and then you wait a little bit, and then you trim the edges. Right? I think the same thing should be true for literature. But when you do that trimming and when you do the tossing is variable. So for pantsers, they like to toss out their entire idea, write what I jokingly call a 150,000 word outline, and then trim that outline down to like 100,000 words, right? Or maybe make changes. And there's different strategies for that. I think I'm going to make us like a sort of guide video on that at some point.
Yeah.
But plotters, on the other hand, write down the ideas really quickly and really dirty. And they don't do the prose early, but they do the ideation early. And they do the refining early. And once the refining is done and the ideation is done, then they add all the details. Right? They expand on it. And there's like everything in between. But thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I definitely get behind the idea of writing chapters multiple times. Black Market first chapter was actually a result of 12 chapters as well. And I just rewrote the chapter multiple times. 12 times, pick the best two and then send it out to people and then ask them like which one they like. Everybody say they like this one, so we're going to do this one. Right. I'm also a big fan of like beta reading. I always try to get opinions, and specifically I try to get statistical distribution. Right. I try to get a good mix of like reader and authors, and that's how I do my chapters as well. Currently, when I do the books, I guess like you said before, pantsers write 150,000 word outline. I wrote that 150,000 word outline because I'm also a pantser, and I rewrote it into a 300,000 word outline. So it got,
I did that too.
So book 2 is double in length, and
I mean,
so audiobook narrator is not happy. So God.
I mean, why they're getting paid PFH, so per finished hour, right? So the probably slots, like the issue I have, or not the issue, I should rephrase this. The way that I think really works for me these days is I write, or not, it doesn't really work this way, but it's all right. I took the entirety of Torchbearer 1. I looked at each chapter and what really happens in these chapters, like really happens. And then I really boiled it down to, Sam wakes up, then this happens, and that, and that, and that. And I really boiled it down to like which information needs to be conveyed for other shit to work. And then I plotted it all out and put it everywhere, and like put it on a grid, right? So like an x-axis and a y-axis, and on the x-axis there were like different themes, like the logic, or the real world, or the old story, or relations to our friends, and that sort of stuff. And I've noticed that like all these relations to our old friends don't really matter all that much, right? Because I planned it for both stories to kind of converge at the same time. But in order to do that, I still need to properly slot them into the right time. They also shouldn't be interrupting the prose anymore. But I overlaid the entire, like each of these things, I overlaid with several different structures. So for the plot, I used getting a take off your pants, which is a really cool structure. I really like that one. And I looked at it, I was like, okay, like this one here is far too long. Like this is like 20 chapters. I can shorten that to like 1. And this is in the wrong place. And that is in the wrong place. Again, talking about like this like common theme that I want to talk about, right? So this first book shouldn't be about these other things that I could be writing about too. It should be about this one thing. I should be taking out everything else. And then I looked at the progression. So like it shouldn't come as a big surprise to anyone who's read Torchbearer that the system really, really resembles Sam's emotional state, right? So when she gets angry, Ferris advances, and when she like finds solace in her memories, it's arcs, like that sort of stuff. And I've really looked at like, do these things really correlate? Should I tighten this up? And I had to tighten it up, and like that sort of stuff. So to make it short, you write down your entire book in short sticky notes per chapter. You put several different grids over it to look at it, like a hero's journey, take off your pants, 3-act structure, right? And then you kind of find out what works. And if something like juts out, if something like that doesn't really work, and then you shuffle shit around, and then and this is like the hard part, rewrite the entire thing. You don't like I tried so often to fix a fucking Jenga tower with like thousands of like different little items that like need to be worried, like, but I found that like it takes so much energy to like keep all these different things in check, even while plotting, let alone writing it, that it is way easier to just do like a complete tabula rasa and start from scratch. And once you have a very good plot structure that is like enticing, then you do the fine tuning, then you do the character voice, then you do like the whole prose and all that kind of bullshit. So again, very long talk.
I think that's a really cool structure. I guess the one stopping my Jenga tower from falling is my wife. I just pretty much just talk to her. She's never really read my book before, right? But she kind of know what's going on based on how I talk to her, like maybe every Sunday, roughly. So I might get writer's block because, this character can't do this, this character can't do that, right? And then I'll just talk to my wife, and then my wife won't say anything. She'll be like completely like silent. She'll just be like scrolling like Instagram or something. And then I'll actually work it out myself, right? Because I'm talking out loud, right? It's like the rubber duck.
Rubber ducky. I was about to say that. For anyone who doesn't know, like there's a practice in programming. It's called rubber ducking, or rubber ducky debugging, where you look at a rubber duck and you explain to the rubber duck your problems, and then even though the duck doesn't answer, you yourself will then like realize, oh crap, I talk
to my satellite. I whisper to my satellite when I'm in like the queue room, Right? I'd be I'm trying to ping this guy, why isn't he responding? And then you'd be like, oh yeah, because I didn't connect the wire, right? Again.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. Okay. So what's one book that you love and why is it awesome?
Oh, must it be a lit RPG book? No.
Nope. I leave the question open quite on purpose.
Okay. It's actually a non-fiction book. It's called Nine Lives.
Okay.
I use non-fiction books a lot in my writing for Black Market. I don't actually read, like you say, the great fiction books, right? I've not read Red Rising, Stargazer's War, all of the good fantasy stuff. I actually only read exclusively for fiction bad stories. I'm not saying your story is bad, right? Like I also accidentally come across some good ones. But the reason why I read bad stories is because I want to find out what they're doing wrong. Right?
Yeah,
it's the inverse. It's the inverse method of finding out what the market does. I know you said the great books have a foundation on how the Western market works, but the success is like a formula with multiple ingredients. You don't know the percentage of the ingredients until you see a bad book that has one ingredient wrong, right?
Yes, and I think the same thing is true for good books. So I think that unless you know what great looks like, you can't really replicate it, because just knowing that something doesn't work is not enough in my personal experience. Because it is always better to work towards something than away from something. That's my experience. In life in general, right? It's I'm not gonna make a big metaphor here about avoidant behavior or whatever, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. I know what you mean. I do have the great books that I'm working towards, but none of them are in the Western market. That's the problem, right? So, anyway, I found the name of the book. Sorry, it's not called Nine Lives. It's called City of Thorns. 9 Lives in the World's Largest Refugee Camp. Right. So
a city of what? City of Tents?
City of Thorns.
City of Thorns. Okay.
Yeah. And I read a lot of depressing stuff. In order to write Black Market, I had to read a lot of, I had to watch a lot of beheadings, prison riots, mafia shootings, drug smuggling, wartime smuggling, and a lot of stuff. I guess when I was traveling as well, I came pretty close to a few conflict zones as well. I was in Kashmir. I was in Palestine. I was in I was in a few places where I've seen how people live on a day-to-day basis, and that kind of shaped how Black Market is. And this book really brought it all in for me, because it really showed how people interact when they are really at the age of their lives. There's this, when I was reading the book, I had this burning question of when you are really pushed to the edge, when you're pushed to survive, right? Would you really do anything that is needed to survive? And surprisingly, the answer of this book is no, right?
And that is a very good tagline.
You would not. You have certain identities, which I like to call cages. We built the cages ourselves, right? This is a line I took from Arcane, by the way. Spoilers for Arcane. And if we break the cage, we feel like we lose who we are, right? So if you ask a refugee, why are you not radicalized? Why are you not becoming a terrorist? Why are you not joining the bandits? Why are you not joining the mercenaries? People do have those lines that they draw in the sand in their head, right? That they're not willing to cross, even when they're pushed to death, right? And it was really an eye opener for me, and I think it's probably one of the best non-fiction books I've read.
You know what's funny? These lines are all malleable, but they don't respond to violence. These lines only respond to kindness. Why are there so many terrorists out there? Because out of the terrorists, we're super kind to them. Right?
I was actually reading another report, tax systems by the Al-Shabaab in Nigeria, right? And the Boko Haram as well. how do the terrorist groups get funding? Everybody thinks like, oh, it's probably some evil like oligarch from another part of the world that's funding them. They're actually earning money from the taxes of the people under them. They tax the transport. So what happens is that they control a region and they only tax things that are going out of the region.
Yeah.
They don't tax food that are being transported in the region. So the people actually like them and they provide protection against the environment. They help to dig ditches, utilities, telephones. I'm not saying terrorist groups are good, right? But sometimes crime pays, right?
Yeah, and like it's the same thing. Like people really like authoritarianism as long as it doesn't affect them, right? Or only in like minor things. I have like friends from Croatia, and Croatia used to be a dictatorship for like the longest time, and like their family was like, no, this is great. We didn't need to worry about anything, or we had a job. But the issue comes when suddenly you are a free spirit and you want to do something that you're not permitted to do. Like this could be something as like, I don't know, like I'm going to be like a bit more egregious out there, but like say like for example, like kiss a man, like as a man kiss another man in public in Russia, not allowed. Right? Suddenly it hurts. And then it could be something as like, hey, I really want to become a chemical engineer, but I'm forced to be a hairdresser.
Yeah.
Right. And if these things sum up to a certain degree, like people get like really angry. So if you ever build a dictatorship, you need to be really careful about this shit. But it's a very, very tough topic because like for many people, they feel like that's just great. Like it's awesome. I don't need to think about anything. Like people actually getting shit done is awesome. And because you don't hear from other people, you don't get exposed to other ideas. You actually believe that this is as good as it gets.
One interesting thing, right? Because I'm living in Singapore, the general feeling among the people here is that it's because of what we hear from the world outside that we actually like the authoritarian regime even more.
Yeah.
Right.
Information filtering.
Right. And it's gotten to the point where our education system doesn't actually teach about other countries. Like we don't do case studies of other countries. We used to do case studies of like Sri Lanka, Northern Ireland, like conflicts, right? And those conflicts were to serve as a warning on why Singapore has to be the way it is, right? But end of the day, like Singapore is just like Disneyland with the death penalty, right?
Oh God, that's a line.
That's a very famous line. It was coined by a US journalist, and a lot of Singaporean people do not like that line. They're like, but just to like pre-warn readers who might be interested in reading Black Market, the main character believes in benevolent dictatorships, right? So in his gang sector, there's free housing, there's free education, there's free utilities, right? But he pays for it from the drug addicts.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like. There's so many twisted ways you can rationalize this, right? Like where like, hey, I just provide people like who like drugs with drugs, right? That is like there's like a certain disease that you can't resist is a topic that doesn't doesn't get brought up in parliamentary systems of like authoritarianism, right? It's another way of population control. And I'm not saying so. This is like probably the most problematic step I've ever made. But I'm not saying this is like either good or bad. But just like you said, like with people having their own little lines in the sand, as a society, you need to like decide who you want to be, right? And are you okay with some drug addicts falling off the train? Are you okay with people with different hair color, not being outside, right? That sort of stuff, you gotta know. And to be honest, one thing I think that everyone really has stopped knowing how to do, and this again goes back to our thing about the education system, is to endure confrontational behavior and or opinions. And this is not like, oh, the snowflakes. Absolutely not. This goes for everyone, right? People call you a bad name. and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, those other guys are all assholes. And then you call them a bad name, and then they react the same way. And this can only stop if a lot of people suddenly go like, this person has called me something.
Yeah.
He must have some sort of need or pain. And I could respond. I could react now. I could like punch him or like say something like evil back. But I should much rather understand his pain so I can take that pain from him so that he thinks that, he likes me. And then he's more inclined to listen to me and to understand my opinion and maybe change their mind. Because if you don't do that, it's just a big shouting match and nothing changes. But I need to add a disclaimer here at the end of this. Like, please don't go out there and say like medics, like medic advocates for like being nice to like mass murderers or people advocating for violence. Like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you want to convince someone, you don't do it by shouting at them. It's impossible. But it's okay to not want to convince someone. You just have to like know what you want.
Yeah, it's like you want to build a society of like tolerance, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, like if
to a
there are
certain
conflicting
degree.
opinions, you really want tolerance and the ability to work out, conflicting opinions and hear everybody out. I got quite a good story. When I was young in a school in Singapore, we have a lot of different reasons. Singapore is a migrant port. Everybody from all over the world come over. We got German. My friend was like this Russian, Polish guy. We had Indians, Malays, everybody. Right? Like Leban's Indonesian. He's worked in Singapore. We are a society of migrants in that sense. Right? Maybe America has forgotten that. I don't know. Right? I'm not going to talk about him. During one of our school assemblies, like one of our vice principals just came up and said like, oh, someone wrote a letter to the school, right, talking about our students, right? And he read the letter out, right? And the guy said he was very impressed that the street soccer court had all the main races of Singapore represented, right? So we were playing with like my Indian friend, Malay friend, Chinese friend, Russian friend, Irish friend. We had British, we had German, we had everybody, right? Like everybody was just playing along, right? Like we're just playing soccer, right? And then when my vice principal finished reading the letter, he said, "What do you guys think?" Right? And then all my friends was like, "What the hell is he talking about? This is just normal. Everybody plays soccer like together, And then my vice principal said, like, the person who wrote this letter is the most racist guy.
Yeah. Jesus. So, like, why are all these foreigners here? Yeah, okay.
no, but he said it was a good thing, right? He liked to see the progress, right? But my vice principal said that the fact that he still could see the races, right? Then that his lens was different from the next generation, which is like us, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, very interesting. Like things always change, right? And it doesn't matter. But like the one thing I really want to like talk about, like tolerance, is like you don't have to tolerate people who like, and this is like very important. People who actively advocate for your death, you don't need to tolerate.
Yeah.
But
of course.
But it really needs to be that. If someone just says like, I don't like how your face looks, or I'm afraid, or don't do this or don't do that, that's not advocating for your death. So don't like, basically my entire thing boils down to like, don't make yourself lose opportunities to convince someone of something. Like I think that's like the most I'm willing to say on this podcast, because I have my own opinions, I have my own like ideas of what I like and who I am, but I think the universal problem of like people like you said in the example, right? Needing to come together and actually like get exposed to different opinions and understand that sometimes not everything is bad, or is as bad as you think, is very important. Cool.
Yeah.
Give me some shoutouts.
Cool. Shoutouts. Well, I guess the biggest shoutout would be an author that I don't know, right? I've never met before. This is the author of the 40 Millenniums of Cultivation. It's a Chinese web novel about exercise progression, right? And my whole writing career started because I read his afterword, right? Like his back matter of the book, right? And he said that he was a factory worker, right? He was a factory worker, and he writes 9,000 words a day by going to KFC in the morning at 5:30 a.m. and just writing straight, right? He writes for 4 hours, go to the factory, goes home, sleep, repeat, right? And I thought to myself, like, hey, if some like author on the other side of the world could do it, you know, and he like, why can't I do it too, right? So big shout out to 40 Millenniums of Cultivation. There's animation, there's a comic, there's a book, right? Please like just watch it. I know it's very Chinese, right? It's Asian. You might not like the characters, but
what's it called again?
40 Millenniums of Cultivation.
40 Millenniums of Cultivation. That's a very cool title, actually.
Yeah.
Is there only war?
Is there only war? No.
It's 140k joke. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of like political stuff going on in there, but nothing about China. So don't worry about it. Whoever's listening.
Yeah, obviously not. Like, otherwise we wouldn't be able to read it. Yeah.
Other shout Tenebrum by D. Winchester.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes. It's one of the books that like kind of like convinced me that okay, like being evil is okay, right? Yeah. Like it had pretty good success. I really like his writing style. I bought the paperback, and I think you should too, right? Whoever's listening, right? This is pure evil, like written like true and true. I would consider my main character of Black Market like a good guy. Yeah, like a great guy. Yeah. Like compared to Tenebrum. So if you're looking for like real evil, it's Tenebrum, right? If you're looking for like
Tenebrum is like hardcore.
Yeah,
and
like really really hardcore.
And like the thing is like it's Tenebrum is. I very much hesitate to like make this comparison, but it's the only thing I can think of, and that's like Nabokov's Lolita, right? You know this guy is an asshole. You know the guy is like completely disgusting.
But you're still reading. Yeah.
But you're still reading it.
Yeah.
Right? Like my shoutouts would go for Worth a Candle. While we're looking at like hard hitting stuff, like Worth a Candle doesn't pull its punches. There's like Alexander Wales talks about everything. Like it's like for sure. Like there's rape in there. There's like slavery. There's death. There's literal torture, like not just like, oh, then he was tortured, like no, like literal torture, like psychological and physical. And yet Alexander always kind of makes it work. And the ending is like, well, it's a thing. You should read it.
I should read it. I got. Yeah. Well, this sounds like kind of like the wrong type of brag, but I got slavery. I got torture too.
I got everything. I can give you everything. Like,
I can give you everything. Like a lot of other authors have actually asked me like, how did your evil MC book actually do so well on Warrior? And obviously there's a debuff on Amazon. I don't think Amazon market really like evil MC. That's why like I feel like my book kind of flopped. Yeah.
Amazon actually like I think like. I think if people are like paying money for it, like it's a different audience. I think maybe.
Yeah, it's a different audience. I feel like they like anti-hero psychopaths that think a certain way but don't actually act on it. Unfortunately, my MC actually acts on it. I
have some ideas about a character I want to write, and I want to talk to you about that in the bonus material. But I think for this stuff. For this moment, I think we're done with the main podcast. We have about like 15 to 20 minutes more for the bonus material, but that will be after the show. Do you have any last words for YouTube audience and or Red Circle and or Spotify audience?
To the Spotify audience, I only use SoundCloud. I feel like I'm still one of the last holdouts that use SoundCloud. I don't know anyone in real life that uses SoundCloud. I feel like everyone on SoundCloud is a bot. But somehow I really like that music. Please try SoundCloud. That's to the Spotify. To the YouTube.
You can of course keep using Spotify to listen to this podcast. Please listen to this podcast.
I really like listening on SoundCloud. I don't have any ads on SoundCloud, and I don't pay anything as well. So that's the reason why.
This podcast should also like the free version should also not have any ads. I mean, if you have a Patreon, if you are Spotify Premium. There's a cool song by Samsa that's called My SoundCloud. Samsa was like a great rapper. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, to the YouTube audience, I hope you guys will try book 2. I consider book 2 probably the best book I've ever written. I've been writing for 3 years.
Because you've rewritten it.
Yeah, because I've rewritten it, and it's about 300,000 words long, so you're really getting your money's worth. If this podcast comes out before December 12th, and you don't have Kindle Unlimited, please pre-order it, because on launch date, the price will be increasing by $1 to account for the additional word count, because my publisher thought that it was only 200,000 words, not 300,000 words. Right? So, yeah, book 2 is really big, and it's probably the best book I've ever written. I don't think book 1 is that good, and I don't think book 3 is that good either. Book 2 is probably the best.
You're doing a hell of a good job marketing. Yeah, let's go. No, we should all try the story out. Definitely. Yeah. And yes, this podcast will come out, I think, on the 6th of December. So it could be cool.
Nice.
Okay. Well, with that being said, thank you everyone for listening and or watching. Please check out my Patreon. That sounded like the most influencer thing ever. Anyway, I hope I'll see you next time. And if you're on Patreon, the show goes on.